K-12 education, we're going to find a way to also reach if they have even younger childcare needs, because we need them freed up and able to do their jobs. But this is a work in progress to put that up to the level we need it to be really quickly. But that's the answer on the centers for sure. On the telecommuting, our goal right now, let's again be very clear. All essential personnel cannot telecommute, period. I mean, first responders, healthcare workers, you know, there's so many people who cannot. We need them at their post. For the folks who can, which will now in effect be the vast majority of educators, except for those in the learning centers for the essential workers, you know, a lot of our educators will be telecommuting now and doing distance learning with their kids. And a lot of our personnel who are deemed non-essential but still play important roles will be. So separate from the educators, we were trying to get 10% of the workforce. And I believe we made real progress, but I don't have a specific number. We can get that for you.
Quick follow-up on that. There's some teachers who have expressed concern that they have to physically be there for the remote learning sessions. Why not just do those also remotely?
I'll start and the Chancellor will jump in. We answered this yesterday, but I think you weren't here. Because we are asking them to do something they have never done before, the vast majority of them in their life, and on a total battlefield training basis. We're saying to a teacher who has spent, in most cases, their life traditionally teaching, we're going to give you 3 days to figure out how to do distance learning with us, with all the training we can give you. Then we need you in play on Monday, because we're in a full mobilization. And we cannot train them as well from afar, and we can't give them all the materials they need from afar. It's just the truth. They will not have kids in their presence. We will socially distance them while they're getting that training. But if we're going to serve 1 million kids by Monday with something that's never been done before on any scale in New York City, we need to train them effectively.
Yes, to add to what the mayor has said, what's important to understand is that every one of our buildings today was deep cleaned because there was no one there. So the mayor's thanks to our custodial staff is heartfelt. They were there cleaning our buildings. I'm going to reiterate what our health commissioner has said. If you're sick, we do not expect to see you there tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday. If you're sick, stay home. There's processes for letting your principal know if you're sick. Those two things being taken into account, we have a vast array of educators that are prepared on different levels. We have some educators in some schools in the New York City Department of Education that have been doing distance learning, have been doing virtual learning, have been doing all different types of learning using Google Classroom and different platforms that are very proficient. And yet we have other educators that have never even touched this kind of learning before. So the differentiation that we have to do to bring an 80,000 teacher workforce up to a minimal level, yet some that are already advanced not bring them down, is just something you cannot do virtually right out of the gate. So we have to be in those classrooms with them in those schools. There are some teachers that are going to show us what they're doing. We're going to take what they're doing and wrap it into what we're going to provide for the rest of the teachers. But there are some teachers that have never even been in a Google Classroom environment. We have to literally help them log in, create their profile, help them understand how they post things onto that platform, where to find resources. So the variability is so much that it's impossible to do that in a virtual way. Now, that being said, with these 3 days of training and teachers having the opportunity uninterrupted to be able to create materials and create different kinds of learning experiences, they will be ready and up and running, and even more importantly, know who to call to get assistance when they hit the ground running on Monday. The other thing that I think is really important for New Yorkers to understand is this isn't a 4-week vacation. This isn't a 5-week vacation. Our teachers are working. They're working in a different environment. They are telecommuting to the greatest extent of that definition. So we need to make sure they're prepared to be able to do that work.
Okay, who's not gone over here?
I just wanted to ask Mr. Chancellor Carranza, is there a plan in place for students, 12 to 1 to 4 students and 6 to 1 to 1, so nonverbal, autistic, wheelchair students, and those who are the most medically fragile throughout the remote learning, because so much of their intervention is not virtual?
Yeah, so we're solidifying those plans as we speak. We're working with our union partners as well. We're also working with other city agencies. We're looking at third-party support systems. We have a list of every one of those students. There are some things that you can provide via virtual reality. So, for example, speech therapy. We can provide that. Even some occupational therapy we can provide. But physical therapy, how do you do that? So we're working to provide that kind of support for students and families. We are reaching out to every single one of those families. We've already started reaching out to them, and we'll do that via their IEP. But it's going to be critically important. I want to remind all New York Department of Education families, you need to create your account on My Schools. That's critically important. That's how we're going to blast information in. Go onto our website, and there'll be a link there, and it's really simple. You sign up, give us your information, you'll get real-time information. Also look at our New York City Schools Twitter account. We just tweeted how to do it in a link. I retweeted it, and there's a link there as well. But we are actively working on those plans right now.
Let me challenge you, I'm sorry, let me challenge you on one point for folks who are less computer savvy. I don't know if you have this yet or you're going to put it together, but what if a human being is struggling to figure out how to get their account or something? Can they call an actual human to get help? Can they call 311 or can they call someplace else?
They can call 311, and 311 will patch you right into our call center as well. Also on the website, there's a phone number as well people can call.
And what would you mentioned third parties. What would that necessarily look like?
There are different kinds of companies that provide mobile services like that. So what we're trying to do, and the mayor has given us very clear direction, there is nothing that is sacred. So if you need to go and get a third party and augment what you have in your school system, do it. There is no excuse for not serving our students. So we're taking that to heart and exploring every possibility.
Okay, we'll do a few more because we have a lot we have to get back to. Yes.
Speaking of students, this might be a question for the
Speaking of
students. As we all know, there are quite a lot of students in the New York City school system who are homeless, sometimes in shelters, sometimes not. Is there anything special you're doing to try to facilitate the possibility of remote learning for them, when broadband isn't something they have personally, and laptop and so on?
Yes, so they also are one of the groups of students that I refer to as our high priority students. So students with disabilities, students in temporary housing. So we're prioritizing them in everything that we're doing. So they're at the top of the list for devices. If they're homeless, chances are they probably don't have a device. Chances are that they probably don't have internet connection or connectivity. So as we're working with Spectrum and other providers, we're prioritizing internet and Wi-Fi connectivity for those students in particular. We have 30,000 iPads that we have in our possession right now that are Wi-Fi equipped. The prioritization is for students that are in these kinds of most fragile, we call them our fragile students, most fragile circumstances. We are going to be receiving shipments every single week until we ramp up to 300,000 iPads that we will be distributing. Part of the work that will happen this week in our schools is actually getting an accounting of who are our students, because teachers and principals know who are the students that either don't have Wi-Fi, don't have devices, etc. So we're trying to be very strategic, very, very specific about who those kids are, and then prioritize them.
Okay, we're going to have to go fast because we're running out of time. Go.
An FDNY fire marshal died of coronavirus. The union just announced. Were you aware of that? Does that